There's also the question of what Herschel Walker's candidacy does to the sort of world of black politics. And I want to read an excerpt from a USA Today editorial today, which is rather scathing. For some Republicans, any warm body that can be used as a pawn is sufficient. The fact that Herschel Walker happens to be black is an irony too delicious to resist for some voters who have chosen to rally behind one of the most unqualified political candidates in recent memory. In a community that has fought against stereotypes of violence, criminality, intellectual inferiority, and sexual promiscuity, Walker is an embarrassment. The idea of being judged by the worst examples in your community is not a burden with which most Americans are familiar. As a political leader, Walker would be a representative of the black community by default, whether he intends to represent the community or not, and whether the black community wants it or not. I mean, talk about that for a second. The idea that if Herschel Walker, even right now, he's a representative of the black community by default because we're talking about him. He's the Republican candidate for Senate. What is his candidacy? What does he mean to white Republicans? And what does he mean to, the black community if he's actually elected?
And here's the reality. What did he mean to Donald Trump?
Yes.
Donald Trump is the person who was the casting director for much of the Republican field. And so he told you what he thinks of black men. He's athletic. He's compliant. He might be a little violent, right? But he's going to forward the interests of the same white voters, the same white folks who love Donald Trump. Yeah. He will never in any way interrupt the drive toward a white Christian nationalist agenda. He will comply with that agenda. Number one, because he's never going to think through an alternative agenda, and he would never defy that agenda. That's the perfect black candidate, right? Because you could say, I'm not racist, I voted for the black guy.
Right.
But it's the black guy who will never, ever question or interrupt the drive toward the white Christian nationalist agenda that Donald Trump himself believes in. I mean, Donald Trump casted the one Muslim candidate, right? He casted somebody who's simply an entertainer. Okay, maybe he pushed some supplements that might hurt you rather than help you. Maybe, a few dogs got hurt in the process. But he's compliant. He'll do what I say. And so it's okay to be a minority. It's fine. They want you in the party. But you must be compliant. Think about the non-compliant, high-level black man in the Republican Party that you can think of in the most recent era. It's Michael Steele. You know what happened to Michael Steele? He stopped being compliant. He got the boot.
Yeah.
You have to, the compliant piece is the important piece. All of that stuff about Christianity, that's performative. Because if they truly believed in the dogma that they're saying they believe in, he would be unacceptable. Not just the violence against women, not just the abortion, but the fact that he hasn't taken care of his children.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's a stereotype of black men, too, that black men don't take care of their children. Completely untrue, but he lives down to it. And that's awfully convenient as well for what Donald Trump thinks about black people.
And what other white Republicans may think of black people.
It's why they love Donald Trump.
It's a really destructive, it feels like a really destructive moment for the country, for people of color. The race goes on. Early voting begins Monday. Joy, there's no better person to talk to about this. Live reaction from one of my favorite people. Thank you for joining me, my friend. Host of the Reid Out. It's always good to see you.
It's always great to see you.